What is the size of financial fraud committed in India,
75 to 100 crores per day?
which you think X% you can prevent?
We will be able to control 80% of fraud. Our mission was to eradicate fraud from business to consumer transactions. That's how Castle started.
India is a low trust society.
We kind of evolved from a very different kind of economy to be a digital economy.
You talk to any businessman, trust deficit makes them 50 to a couple of 100% less business every year. Trust accounts is equal to escrow account in India.
What is escrow?
Escrow is a special purpose bank account. You are buying a condo from me worth $1 million. I'm demanding 20% advance. Why would you trust me? So we'll set up an escrow. If those milestones are not met, automatically, without any litigation, without any dispute, the money will return to the buyer.
Us was also an outcome of regulation, cut to SEBI guidelines, where all the AMCs, the stockbrokers, etc., have to work in a certain way where the money has to land in an escrow.
Yeah.
Because it's not your money.
Rainmatter invests in fintech startups with the intention of investors doing better with their money, which we believe will also help deepen markets in India. Join us as we speak with the startups and venture capitalists who invest in them about how they are approaching markets, fintech solutions, in all subsectors of lending, payments, investments, insurance, and infrastructure, as well as their businesses from scratch.
Hello and welcome to another episode of From Scratch. Today I'm in the studio with two out of the co-founders of Castle. Welcome Vineet Singh, welcome Kumar, Amit. How are you today?
We are great. Great to host you in our city, and hope you're liking the Delhi weather. The heat is just beginning to set in.
It is. Also, I just noticed that you probably are one of the only guests that has white hair. So you're a veteran in the fintech industry. I'd love to hear a bit more about your background. Where have you spent?
Sure. So Hansi, I am a bit of a veteran, slightly older founder in terms of age, but not from the fintech industry. I started my, you can say, startup journey way back in 2000. I was the 9th employee at Naukri.com, InfoEdge. So I spent 15 years in InfoEdge, building various businesses, Naukri, 99 Acres, Naukri Gulf, Jeevan Sathi. And then I branched out in early 2015, tried to build an e-commerce platform to sell construction material online. Didn't succeed in that, shut it down in 20 months. And then I moved in as a chief business officer of MobiKwik. So that was my, you can say, it was 2017 end, I guess, 2016 end. And that was my entry into, you can say, the big world, or maybe bad world of fintech. And I spent around 2 years there, under 2 years there. Moved out in search of a new idea, wanted to do something of my own. And then, stumbled into Escrow. So that's the story.
And you used to work together at MobiKwik, right?
Yes, both of us used to work at MobiKwik.
What were you doing there?
So I was leading the business for them. So one was that I was leading the government charter for them. And apart from that, offline business. So two things I used to manage as business head with Vineeth. And then I moved to Razorpay post that, where I was leading business for them for almost 6 years. And almost when I joined, the company was doing what, 500, 600 crores a month. And when I left, it used to do around 75,000 crores a month. So that's the kind of difference.
So both of you had a lot of experience with scale as well. But what was given that you were already in the industry, what was the pain point that you saw? I heard a story about your payment issue.
Yeah, right. It was, I think, the end of 2019, early 2020. I sold a car to an iBuying platform. Their value prop is that you'll get paid in 30 minutes. So, well, they took the car, they got the papers signed, they took the keys, everything. The payment did not come. So I waited for 3 days, it did not come. Then I pinged one of the founders, their CFO. I think 5th, 6th day, I called one of the investors as well. I come from the community, that, hey, please help me out. Gaadi chali gayi hai, paise nahi aaye. And it took me around 10 days to get the money.
This is when you actually knew the investors.
Yeah, I come from the community. Now, they are not buddies, etc., but acquaintances through my, you can say, long stint at InfoEdge. InfoEdge was the first Indian internet company to list. It was the first Indian billion-dollar internet company as well. So almost everybody senior there get to know everybody from the ecosystem as such, right? So I had, you can say, enough acquaintances and value in the market to reach out and ask for a little bit of help. And because of that help, I think I got the money in 10 days. And the branch manager of that outlet to whom I sold the car, and he said that you are lucky, आपको 10 दिन में पैसे मिल गए, otherwise बाकियों को तो 30-35 दिन में मिलते हैं. You are friends of the founders. So that left me thinking. It was a reasonably, I think, 4.5 lakh kind of a high value transaction between a consumer and a business. And as a consumer, I did not have any recourse. गाड़ी ले ली थी, sign करा लिया, चाबी ले ली. I could just behave myself and gently and nicely ask for my money. And so that thought got me thinking. Around the same time, a dear friend of mine, he is also an entrepreneur, runs a tech startup, Vivek. And Vivek was shifting from Gurgaon to Bangalore, and he put a dining table for sale. And a fraudster came posing as a buyer and then tricked him on a UPI transaction and siphoned off, I think, 17,800 rupees from his savings account. So we went together to the Gurgaon cyber police station to file a complaint. And they said that 80% रोज complaints इसी का आता है, payment fraud. So then I did some online research that how high value consumer to business transactions, C2B transactions happen globally. What kind of payment methodologies do they use? How do they ensure trust and transparency? Why would I sell my car at $5,000 to one vendor or platform rather than the other one? So then I discovered Escrow. Okay, so I discovered a company called escrow.com. They were founded in 1989. And a bunch of, you can say, escrow stack companies across the world over the last 35 years have been inspired by them. So we also got inspired and thought that our mission was to eradicate fraud from business to consumer transactions. That's how Casla started.
Right. Okay. So your pitch was to eliminate fraud from transactions. That's a
Yes.
pretty sort of ambitious goal. But before we get into too much into that, let me understand, or maybe for our viewers, explain what is escrow.
So escrow is a special purpose bank account. It's like a normal bank account. Like the Indian regulator, Reserve Bank of India, mandates two kinds of bank accounts: a savings account for individuals and a current account for businesses. Okay, so it is a kind of a special purpose account. Okay, a current account in a way. The only difference is that it does not belong to anybody. The money in the account is controlled by the escrow agreement signed between parties. And there is a third-party actor. In some cases, it is the bank, where the bank assumes the responsibility of an escrow agent. And in most cases, there is another actor called a trustee, and they become the escrow agent for the account. So payout rights for this account are given to the trustee, and the trustee releases payments. So layman example, you are buying a condo from me in Bangalore. Let's say it's worth $1 million. You want to give me, I'm demanding a 20% advance, so $200,000. You don't know me, right? We don't know each other at all. So why would you trust me with a $200,000 advance? So we'll set up an escrow. You'll park the money there. And I'm the seller. Money belongs to me. But I have to perform certain things, achieve certain goals, targets, milestones before the money can be released. Okay. So if those milestones are not met, automatically, without any litigation, without any dispute, without any bad blood, the money will return to the buyer. Okay, so that is what in layman terms an escrow is.
In a high value transaction like a real estate sort of purchase, I can understand, because already you're dealing with a whole bunch of legal sort of suppliers. Escrow account makes sense. But even in a low value transaction, because what you're talking about, I guess car is not as low value,
Yeah.
but the dining table, you're talking about sort of different values.
Yes.
I remember many years ago, this shows my age as well. Didn't eBay have a escrow service many years ago when they started?
Absolutely.
Because I remember you were buying sort of antiques and second sort of hand things, and we didn't know who you were dealing with, and there was some sort of service. But just coming back to your sort of explanation, you use the word escrow agent and you use the word trustee. Just explain the difference between an escrow account and maybe a trust account, if there's such a thing. And I think there's a bunch of other sort of nodal account, right? Exactly, a nodal account. So maybe explain the difference between the three.
So typically, see, so you'll have to understand the nomenclature in terms of uses, right? So something like an escrow is basically where the money is held in a third-party account, and till the time the goods and services are delivered, right? So it's a special purpose account. Nodal account as a functionality, it was meant for fintechs or payment gateways, etc., that has also moved to escrows now. So that concept in itself has been nullified by
But what was
RBI.
it? What was a
But
nodal
the
account?
idea was that how the money can be holded for a while, and then it has to be routed to
For
different
aggregation.
merchants, for different merchants. So
Like licensed e-commerce players, Amazon, Flipkart, they had their current accounts were designated as nodal accounts because they were aggregating a lot of money, which was not their revenue. So if I buy a refrigerator from Amazon for 20,000 rupees, maybe the revenue of Amazon is 1-2% or whatever the margin that they take from the seller of that product, right? So they are holding the money for the seller. So they will collect 20,000 from me, the buyer. Let's say, Hansi, you are the seller. They will pass on 18,000 to you, keep 2,000 rupees, and the revenue accounting will work on that 2,000 rupees. So these were aggregation accounts. Due to myriad problems and issues, etc., and so on, the Indian banking system and regulators, I guess, have nudged and pushed all users of nodal accounts to use escrow accounts, which are slightly more stringent, slightly more, you can say, hard-walled than the nodal accounts were.
And also, just to add to what Vineet's point was that from a nodal perspective, right? So nodal account has been removed by RBI in terms of accepting the money and all that, and also in marketplaces. So the concept of nodal as a function, because marketplaces now receive money via PG, right? And PG is collecting the amount in the escrow.
PG?
Payment gateway, right? So they are collecting the money in an escrow. So typically, overall, the escrow mechanism is superseded everything. So it was just luck by chance as well that it all happened. And plus, trusteeship is more like a trust has the ownership of an account. So this is little different from what we do.
They get payout rights. So trustee is an actor who becomes escrow agent in an escrow agreement. Okay, and they are the ones, they are the actor to whom payout rights for an escrow account are assigned to. So let's say you are buying a condo from me and Amit becomes the escrow agent. So Amit will decide whether the transaction is being done as per the letter and spirit of the agreement. And if yes, as a seller, I will get the money. And if there is any, you can say, non-performance of terms and conditions, then the deal will be cancelled and money will go back to you as the buyer.
Do you need to be licensed to become a trustee or an escrow agent?
Trustees, okay, so there is no license requirement to become a trustee as such, but if you want to do capital market transactions, you do need a registration from SEBI. So for capital market transactions, which are debenture trustees, IPOs, M&As, for that you need SEBI registration. Otherwise, non-capital market, you can just set up a trust company, okay, and you can start operating it. We are a technology company. We are a tech fin, okay, not a fully fledged fintech. So we are unlicensed and operate as an unlicensed technology company. Yeah. And you mentioned trust accounts. So trust accounts is equal to escrow account in India. There is no nomenclature called trust account as such. So escrow is set up for a trust account or a trust deficit account. Okay, if I can put it that way.
Okay, so just to clarify, there is no nodal account in India anymore.
Yeah.
There was never a trust account per se. So now, literally, every time there is a trust transaction, there is an escrow account being set up.
There is a nomenclature which is called a TRA account, which is a trust and retention account. But that is an avatar of escrow account only. That is so TRA again is a special purpose account. Okay, like an escrow. It is an avatar of escrow, and it is created for certain specific purposes, basically.
Legal sort of definition, it's an escrow account.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, so behind the scenes, whatever name it's called by, behind the scenes, there is an escrow account happening every time there is transactions happening between two parties. I buy from Amazon, okay, all the time because the ease of delivery and refunds and all of that. Just last week, I fell for the Instagram ad. I'm just asking you now, when I buy something from a D2C account, not an Amazon, what happens then?
Okay, so let me explain, and great question. So Amazon, Flipkart, they are brands. They are licensed e-commerce entities, okay? So licensed by regulator or the government of India to operate as e-commerce companies. What does that mean? That means that they are responsible for delivery, returns, and refunds, okay? And settlement of money to the seller as well. So they are an e-commerce marketplace, okay? Instagram is a matchmaking marketplace. It's a marketing platform where Amit, the seller, is advertising his or her goods. Hansi buys it or Vineet buys it. and if any shit happens, okay, and last report I read, 18 to 20% of transactions on these kind of matchmaking platforms are troublesome. Like I'll tell you my wife's story. She bought I think 500-600 rupee item, and when we go to office, the same item has been delivered 4 times, and the money has been collected from our house helps. So it is some kind of a game that they come saying 500 rupees ka kuch aaya hai, and the house help maybe calls my wife and said अच्छा कुछ order किया होगा दे दो आप. Same product 4 बार deliver हो गए. कई बार होता है product ही नहीं आता. The biggest problem is that if you don't like the product, if the product doesn't perform, okay, then the return and the refund process is pathetic, because you are dependent on small mom and pop setups, and all do not adhere to any kind of self-regulation or good guidelines, good governance guidelines. And Meta platform is not responsible. They are just for matchmaking. Okay, so it's a business at the end of the day. So I can understand their point of view and their standpoint on this matter as well. So this is the biggest difference. So as consumers, one should be very careful of where you are buying it from.
So that creates a huge opportunity for marketplace escrow models, right? So typically, since there is no regulation in terms of, because the money is coming from the PG, there is no regulation. But if you really want to protect the consumer interest, right, it has to, and there are a lot of marketplaces who work with us today also, right? The smaller ones. See, everyone can't be a Flipkart or a Amazon, but at the same time, they can at least think about that. They can move in that direction. And for that, customer is very, very critical, and customer satisfaction is very, very critical. So for that, to ensure that you empathize with your customer, and the money that you are taking, it's getting into your account only when a particular goods or services are being delivered.
So where does it stand today? So there's a difference, as you said, there's an Amazon, Flipkart that have a certain license. And then there's an Instagram, Facebook, anybody else where through which I saw a provider, I bought something, my transaction is directly with that provider, but that service hasn't been delivered or the product hasn't been delivered, and now I have a problem. So you're saying in the case of this Instagram type service, that's an optional thing that you are saying. Today it doesn't happen,
It's a good to have. It's not a need to have. There is no regulation that all D2C marketplaces who are selling online, they need to collect buyer money in an escrow account. Okay. Almost 100% of them in India as of today collect in their current accounts only, and they can get away with any kind of customer practices.
Why is there no regulation, and how does it compare with global practices?
So globally, I think, look, like you mentioned eBay, and it is very topical. eBay was the first company in the world which evangelized or rolled out, executed the concept of escrow, where eBay said, hey, look, we are a matchmaking platform, but your money is safe. Okay, we'll take care of it. And the same thing, the AliExpress did the same thing with Alipay. And they out-executed, they became, I don't know, maybe 10 times, 100 times bigger than eBay as well, right? Okay, so the right department in India needs to look into on this. There are, I think, thousands of marketplace of.
There was no regulation for them, right? They innovated. Businesses innovated and provided a trust.
But there, the consumer guidelines for credit card usage, look, most of the Western markets are credit card users, right? So as a credit card user, you can dispute the transaction within 45 days, no question asked, and the amount is frozen, and the owner of the card gets the refund. Those kind of rules don't apply in India.
And we are doing cash on delivery.
And we are doing cash on delivery as well. So India is a different market compared to the West. Okay, so the West did it because it was innovation. They wanted to build trust. They wanted to add the trust element in their brand equity. And I think it's a journey, it's a growth story. We have a lot of D2C brands who use us.
But the point was there was no regulation there also. And today also, do they have regulation that they have to use an escrow account?
So most of the, you can say, matchmaking marketplaces use escrow in Western markets. But
is that regulation, or do they do it by choice?
I don't know. Okay. So we haven't checked, but there's a company in UK called Shield Pay. They work with Gumtree. Gumtree is like eBay of UK. Escrow.com works with eBay for higher value transactions, which is classic cars, used vehicles, then all these second-hand Louis Vuitton, Gucci stuff, etc., and other stuff that way. And China, Alipay has its own mechanism of escrow.
There's no regulation, but in India, there's also no regulation, and there's a low trust society.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah. You talk to any businessman and they will say that trust deficit maybe makes them do maybe, I don't know, 50 to a couple of 100% less business every year.
Isn't that what cash on delivery is? Because in the end, I don't trust you to deliver. So first, show me the product. I'll try it on. It fits me. It's the right thing. Then I'll pay you. Right? Isn't that what the market is telling
No,
the
no, it is
businesses?
not that.
No?
So cash delivery is that you cannot order a shoe and then open the box and try it and then say, no, I don't like the look and feel of it or the fit of it and take it back. No, it is not that. Cash on delivery is that you have to, the moment you accept the package, you have to pay. Okay. And after that, you will open the package, you will try on your shoe. You don't like it, you'll have to call the brand or email the brand and do the entire return and refund process.
But with fragile items, I mean, people are very particular about cash on delivery. One theory is what he is saying, and another one is like, so I've seen myself. So my wife, she runs a glassware brand, right? And she was not doing cash on delivery. She was just doing, so everybody used to come on the website, they used to order, and she used to use different platforms to land to the website. But the sale improved considerably once she started with the cash on delivery. So that has to do with the mindset also, right? So are you accepting it? Plus RTOs in India, there's like big pain.
What is that? Sorry?
RTO. So we're
Return to origin.
yeah. So return to origin. So RTOs. So that becomes a big problem in Indian kind of ecosystem. So mostly the companies who are logistic companies, they also see that what are the serviceable pin codes and what is the kind of ratio that they are looking for, and basis that they decide that whether this area is serviceable for a this kind of order or not. Cash on delivery, if it happens, money will be there or not? Will there be someone to take it or not? So that is also one important criteria. But to answer to your point, I think it is important at the same time, but with such selective items, not with everything.
No, the point I was making was more, given that India has cash on delivery as a concept, is that not an indicator of a low trust society?
Absolutely, it is 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
And escrow is a solution for that. It's a great solution. But we are a society which works on nudges and pushes at the end of the day as well. So let's understand our country and our society as well. So sometimes the right thing for their business, which will be a force multiplier for growth, also has to be maybe mandated by someone higher up that use karna hi padega. Okay, so somebody has to do that.
Where does it stand today in terms of regulation? Which type of transactions in India require an escrow and which ones are optional?
Okay, so regulator mandated escrows are mainly, you can say, capital market transactions, M&A, etc., and other stuff. Okay, then a lot of infrastructure deals where trust and retention
In capital
accounts
markets,
are
that
set up.
ASBA account is an escrow account?
There is not a escrow
Not an
account.
escrow account.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a more reserving. I'm
That's
just checking
just a
legally.
nomenclature, yeah.
Okay.
So IRDAI has mandated an escrow. So if you buy a health insurance policy or a life insurance policy, your money goes into an escrow account there is a free look period where you get to decide whether you want to keep the policy or you want to.
But we've never told that, right? I have never seen an insurance company communicating that to me.
Exactly, absolutely. In the Western markets, this was a huge selling point that, hey, Hansi, you are buying $1,000 a year lifetime policy and you get 30 days as a free look period. And after 30 days, you just need to send a mail and say, I don't want it, and you'll get your money back. As simple as that. But the regulator has done the right stuff here. So M&A transactions, insurance, okay, a lot of government business happens through escrow now. I think all government subsidies, etc. Large infrastructure projects, like I said, TRA accounts are held. Okay, primary real estate, because in India you buy a new condo. You are not buying a new condo. You are buying a brochure. Sorry, I'm putting it in such a manner, but that's the truth. Okay. So I used to sell real estate. I used to do 99 acres once upon a time. So you're buying a brochure. You're not buying a key to a house in that sense. So after a lot of, you can say, scams and corruption and bad press and bad loans by consumers, etc., and hue and cry, the government set up a real estate regulatory authority, and they mandated primary real estate will have to use escrow accounts. So if you buy a new condo today, your money goes into an escrow to give you peace of mind that your money is going to be used by the developer for construction of your project, for construction of your home, will not be used by the developer for any other means, for any other transactions. Okay. So, so it is mandated there. So similarly, others as well, right? Most of the government subsidies happen through escrow accounts.
In real estate, for example, in primary, so I don't trust the builder, so there's an escrow account. But in secondary transactions, that's not the case because the building exists.
That's not mandated.
So, okay.
Because I can see the building.
Yeah.
Whereas here, the building is not built
No,
yet.
no, but I'll tell you. Globally, in Western markets, the biggest force multiplier for escrow growth is secondary real estate transactions. All of Western Europe, all of North America, every secondary transaction has to happen through an escrow. So you don't hear sob stories where the valuer says that my fee has not been paid. The web broker says, no, 10 lakhs milne the, 5 lakh diye, fir whatever bad words were said, and then I was pushed out and bullied out, etc. Why? Because every service provider in a secondary deal is paid out from the escrow, and then only the seller gets the fee, gets the money.
Right. So that's the case in the West. But in India, you're saying secondary
there is
transactions are not in
not
escrow.
regulation.
Why is that?
Okay. So look, in every developed country, let me get a little philosophical here. So I think real estate, liquor, education, and defense are the last 4 industries to get modernized in the history of every developed economy. So whether you look at North America, Europe, China, Japan, whatever, okay, we are on that path, okay. So half of real estate primary has been, I think, escrowed. Secondary will happen once upon a time, but there's still, you can say, shades of gray in secondary transactions, if I can put it that way on camera. So it will happen, okay? If you ask me, should it happen today? Yes, it should happen right now.
What are we waiting for?
Okay, because I can tell you stories. There is a famous actor, comes from a royal background, and there was a story, I think 12, 18 months ago, that he bought a few acres of land in outskirts of Gurgaon, and he was defrauded of 14 crore rupees. Okay, because later on it was found out that that land has been sold to multiple people. And there was a widowed woman, she bought a 35 lakh rupee 1-bedroom apartment in Gurgaon that is owned by 12 buyers. So there are lots of sob stories, and consumers suffer. So, but higher ups, people in the know, people with the power, I think sooner or later, maybe, okay, regulation has to happen here.
So what are we waiting for? So does the government wait for consumer complaint?
What Vineet was saying, no, it's a constant nudge. So if you see the way the regulator is behaving in India, right? So we kind of evolved from a very different kind of economy to be a digital economy. So it was an evolution, and it was a learning phase for very, very long for all of us to understand that, how the mystics of it, how the antics of it work actually. And then they came with a lot of suggestions, and ours was also an outcome of regulation. So typically, if I see what we have done in Castler, so typically, there are 2 kind of theories in escrow. One is which is government mandated, regulator mandated, etc., etc. Another one was more to sort of build a process around escrow, build use cases around escrow, right? So that was a different mechanism altogether that we were trying to do and evangelize for a good amount of time. And so regulator also has, over a period of time, be it your PAPG guidelines. So PAPG is payment aggregator and payment gateway guidelines. So PAPG guidelines, that clearly inscribe that you have to take money in escrow. You don't have to take money in a nodal account. Then, coming to SEBI guidelines, where all the AMCs, the stockbrokers, etc., they were also kind of said that you have to work in a certain way where the money has to land in an escrow, because it's not your money. The money has to go to a AMC or a stock exchange. Cut to again 2 years later, DLG guidelines, digital lending guidelines, where they clearly narrated that there are a lot of LSPs who came into prominence, and they've built huge businesses also, and they suffered also because of this. But they came with a guideline because for them, at the core of it, and we have been to a lot of regulator conferences where we have been invited to be kind of a storyteller that what escrow can add value to, because they also see, because for the core, if you see the core of any regulator is what? It is consumer protection, right? So they are getting into the hang of things. So slowly and gradually it will also happen. They will also understand this, because for them, the end consumer matters a lot, right? Because when lending fiasco happened, so there was a Chinese lending fiasco which happened in 2020-21. And because of that, so many people committed suicides in India, right? And that's where government took cognizance of that. And they said, boss, what are we doing? The money which is to be taken from a lender, how can you be the owner of that, just being a LSP? So the money has to go from the lender and it has to be collected to the lender. You can be just a pass-through. You can see this is happening. That's it, right? So so they are getting there. So it will take a while. It will take some doing to reach there.
I find it's interesting how every Indian says it'll take a while, आराम से है, मतलब
हो
जल्दी
रहा है
क्या
ना?
है, क्या जल्दी, क्यों नहीं
Proof of the
जल्दी
pudding
है?
है ना?
Hansi, like in primary, the regulation happened because there was the 2008 slowdown, okay, Lehman Brothers, right? And then there was a big fiasco in Indian real estate around 1.5 million to 2 million homes, which is 15 lakh to 20 lakh apartments. People realize that they've taken mortgage loans on these apartments and ये घर कभी बनेंगे ही नहीं. Then associations were formed, lobbying happened with the local MLA, with the local MP, with the respective state governments, etc. The end result of that, and 4 or 5 years of this lobbying and hue and cry and media coverage, was the primary real estate regulation. The same kind of thing, agitation movement has to happen for secondary as well. Abhi, I'm saying it, I am one of the few, but I have a business interest, right? I have an axe to grind, that it will be very good for my business as well, okay? And people will say, how many stories you can talk about for fraud in secondary real estate transactions in a year? 1,000, 10,000? What are the numbers in India? In India, around maybe 3 million secondary real estate transactions happen every year. Okay, so what are these numbers in terms of percentages? We have bigger problems. Let's talk about
That's
the
what the
bigger,
difference
bigger
is.
problem.
So basically, there's not enough hue and cry and suicides happening in secondary.
Honestly, sadly, yes, that can be said
quite
yes
sad.
to. But I think it will not.
Okay.
So democracy works in a certain way. Please understand.
Okay, that's a demand side. Maybe there is a supply constraint, and let me sort of understand that.
Yeah.
What does it take to build an escrow company?
Okay, so look, it's very tough. It was a neglected banking product. It's a super niche kind of a market. पैसा बनाना बहुत मुश्किल है. I find it very difficult to explain to large VCs and PEs that what kind of a multi-billion-dollar business we'll become.
What's required in terms of capital, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of licensing? What's required?
So license gives you credibility. Okay. In Western markets, North America, UK, there are licenses for digital escrows. Okay. So they get the sticker of credibility, which they can wear as a business and go out in the market with confidence. And we don't have a license as such in India as of now. If you ask me, will a license help? Of course, licenses always help. It gives you credibility. It gives you can go and pitch for business. You can bid for government RFPs, etc., and other stuff. As of now, you are just a technology company at the end of the day, right? Okay, and super niches take time. You have to live for 8 and kind of a period to fully evolve and develop the product as well, because किसी को पता नहीं है ना कि बनाना क्या है. So unless we acquire customers, unless we get the use case, unless somebody says Vineet ये भी चाहिए, okay, then only we will build it, right?
I think just to add what Vineet's point was, so one thing which is very important if you really want a big kind of business that you want to see from a escrow standpoint, I think the only custodian of escrow is banks right now in India. So they are leveraged in a certain way, and we need to create that kind of coordination with banks to ensure, so because bank becomes very, very important in our kind of business, so that our dependency on banks are pretty too much. So coming back to his point, so if there is a license which gives you that kind of authority that you can probably leverage that, then it becomes a different ballgame.
Okay, so that's licensing. But explain to me what your product is in terms of what is Castler today. What does it take to build an escrow service?
Sure. And I'll answer this question in a few different ways. I'll tell you, our vision was to eliminate fraud. COVID came, we had to maybe tweak or innovate on our vision as well. Okay. And from solving the problems for high value B2C transactions, we became more enterprise focused, because there were lockdowns in India for 2.5 years, and we were getting leads but no transactions. People did not have the freedom to move out and shake hands and do deals, etc., and other stuff. Okay. So we innovated something which is called enterprise escrow. Okay, and that's what we have been doing since then for the last, you can say, 3.5, 4 odd years. Okay, so what is Castler today? Okay, what has Castler become, transitioning from its core ethos of solving for fraud? At the core, that remains. We still solve for fraud. Maybe not for too many consumers, because we don't have a consumer-facing product, but for enterprises as such. Okay, and because these enterprises use Castler Escrow Suite, consumers get affected indirectly. Okay. So we are a workflow automation company. Okay. Let's say in 2025, we are a phoenix which has risen from the ashes of neobanking in India. So maybe we are the only credible digital bank or neobank in India. Okay. And you are a large corporate. You have 50 bank accounts in 10 banks. Castler will integrate it on a single dashboard, give you access level, access engine, access control engine, transaction engine, risk management engine, reports engine. Okay, everything that you can dream of to control for the large corporate treasury, to control 50 bank accounts from 10 banks. Okay, you are a business which requires aggregation of funds. We will give you the entire infra to run your business. We power business models of companies. So whether you are in car loans, whether you are in supply chain financing, whether you want to do a co-lending kind of a arrangement with a large bank or a small bank, or with a large lender and a small lender. So we have built workflows on top of banks' internet banking. Okay, so we have built a more powerful internet banking product than what banks have today, maybe anywhere across the world. So maybe we have built the most advanced internet banking suite across the world. So that's what Castler is today, transitioned into today. So whether uh, if you're running a business, if you feel you require an escrow, please plug our product into the an escrow account. If you say no, nobody's asked you to use an escrow, it is current account only. Please use our product in your current account. So it works for both.
At its core, is escrow a current account with a legal sort of contract above it, right? So you basically have collated legal contracts, simplified it so that it can be executed without having to get a customized legal contract. Am I right?
Absolutely.
So therefore, behind the scenes, what did you have to do?
So typically an escrow account in India, once upon a time, used to cost a minimum of 5 lakh rupees per account. Okay, so maybe the bank used to take a lakh rupees per year recurring fee to open the account. The trustee used to take maybe a lakh or two for becoming the escrow agent, again recurring annual fee. And there used to be a legal firm or a lawyer who will prepare the escrow agreement, and maybe they will also take 50,000, 1 lakh, maybe a few lakhs. Okay, the first thing that we did is we democratized this agreement thing. Okay, there are only so many use cases. Okay, let's say maybe a few hundred. Okay, so over the last 4 years, we have standardized the documents. We give the escrow agreement for free now. Okay, so our setup fees are anywhere from, you can say, 50,000 to 2.5 lakhs, depending upon the use case and the size and scale of the customer. Okay, that where we feel it is just a secondary real estate transaction, we give the entire solution at maybe 10,000 rupees as well if it is just a 1 crore transaction and somebody is intelligent enough to use it. So we, even if it is loss making for us, we say no, at least this guy reached out to us, let them flavor the product at least. Okay, so we standardize the escrow agreements. Then what we have invested a lot of time and effort in, it used to take, my first customer was a large Indian billion-dollar conglomerate with an NBFC license, and they reached out to me in early 2020 and said that we want to co-lend to a microfinance company in Jharkhand. And we work on email, and it was a digital model of email and offline phone calls and so on. So can you automate certain things for us? And I did not know anything about internet banking or workflow automation then. And that was the first, you can say, workflow that we built for them. And we got into this business, frankly. Okay. And so, yeah, we have customers. As we have acquired customers, they have told us what they want. What is the problem that they want us to solve through automation, okay, through productization.
I'll add to what Vineet is saying. So the whole complexity of escrow as an arrangement. So there are 4 or 5 stakeholders. Okay, one is the bank, another one is the trustee, third one is of course the customer, fourth one is the TSP like us, right, and trustee as well. So we have combined all the features put in together. So what do you need from banks? So you need a certain APIs to see that the entire CRM, so which is on top of what a bank layer is. And a trustee, he also comes on my platform only. So everything which is part of the escrow, whether it was an agreement, so everything is managed at our level only, on our platform only, and that is delivered by API. So the complexity of escrow as an arrangement, it has been reduced substantially. Plus, this has led to a movement in TAT as well.
Right. So, from my understanding, there's a buyer, seller, or two people transacting, and then there's a bank account, and there's a trustee and a lawyer, right? They're the three parties: trustee, lawyer, bank account. They're the three people, service providers we have to deal with between the two transacting parties. Are you telling me that you've taken on the role of all three?
Yes, we have assembled all three.
Bank is still a bank, so you
But
can't
we
have
have
taken
created a bank layer.
You've created bank layer. And you take on the role of the lawyer and the trustee.
Yes. So taken the role as in everybody is working in a similar manner. What we have done is, so lawyer is eliminated
So
because
Kassler
Lawyer is eliminated.
lawyer is
Yeah,
eliminated.
so what-
Trustee is eliminated. I thought
Trustee
you
is
are
there
the-
on our platform, but they are using essentially our platform only for approving every transaction. So we have built a platform, intelligent platform, in such a way where these trustees are using our platform only for approving all the transactions.
These are the licensed trustee companies.
Yeah.
But if there's an individual trustee, like in
We
a
don't-
family
we
trust
don't-
or something.
We don't work with individual
Oh, you don't
trustees.
work. Okay.
We have
So-
standardized it. So Kassler is an escrow account in a licensed bank, plus standardized escrow agreements, plus licensed trustee, plus automated workflows. And we say that this is what we call escrow done right.
Okay, so this is basically escrow for financial transactions. Now, you have other use cases for escrow, especially for code. Explain that.
Financial regulators across the world after World War II, people realized that when war happens, anything can happen. Okay, and we live in a very interdependent world. Okay, so financial regulators mandated regulated entities that they have to be in control of the source code of all their IT vendors, IT service providers. Okay. So let's say that I run a large IT services company and I'm a service provider to Citibank in US, and day after tomorrow there is war between India and US. Hona nahi chahiye, but let's say, okay, and Indian government says कि we need to shut down the pipe of Citibank. So what does this mean? That Citibank will stop functioning? Of course not. The regulator there has mandated that they have control over my source code. The moment there is bad news, they will cut off the pipe, they will deploy the source code directly and become independent of Vineet service. Okay. So the Indian regulator, November 2023, mandated all RBI, mandated all regulated entities of Reserve Bank of India to start utilizing what is called source code escrow services. Okay. I think November, December 2023, SEBI also mandated the same, that all SEBI regulated entities, if they use third-party IT software services, they have to be in control of the source code at any given point in time. Okay, and then I think 2024, late 2024, IRDAI has also mandated all insurance regulator mandated companies to start escrowing the source code. Okay, so this is a great business. This is a $10 billion business globally. A couple of operators, they are very, very big operators. So पहले क्या होता था, Hansi, that the source code used to be put on tapes, on a hard disk, on a DVD drive, or maybe in today's world, a hard disk.
Not something like GitHub and stuff.
So I'll come to that. So on a hard disk, and then that hard disk was put in a vault, physical vault. Now these companies have vaults in mountains across the Alps in Europe and in North America, etc. So movies में जो दिखाते हैं कि there are vaults which are natural disaster proof, etc. Yes, they are real. Okay, there are billion-dollar companies providing those kind of storage facilities as well. Now, in today's day and age, over the last, you can say, 12, 18 months, what Kassler has built, we are the third operator in the world to build a cloud-native source code escrow solution. That you don't have to give me the source code in a hard disk anymore, and I don't have to put it in a physical safe or a vault. I will create the environment in cloud only, an escrow environment in cloud. And I will take the code directly from your code repository. So from your GitHub, GitLab, whichever repository service provider that you use, will pick up the code from there, put it in the escrow environment, and it will be always updated. If you want, it can be verified that code asli hai, nakli hai, chalta hai, nahi chalta hai, whether it is deployable or not, has it been copied or not, etc. and other stuff. So all sort of verification testing can happen in that. So that is the service that we are providing. So as of today, I think there are around 30,000 regulated entities of all these three regulators which are supposed to use this service. So maybe we are onto a big thing here, where because of regulator push and regulator compliance, these folks will be forced to use software escrow.
And this requirement for there being escrowed sort of code, is that a global requirement?
Yes.
Do other
yes.
regulators also do this?
Yes.
So India is
yes.
not out of.
Yeah. So India has regulator mandate has come a little late in India. Okay. North America, Europe, as mature and developed the economy, they have been slightly early movers in these regulations. Anyways, this costs money as well, right?
So if I'm a buyer of a SaaS service, and I sort of don't know whether my service provider will exist or not exist, I have a business continuity problem. I can ask for a source code to be put in escrow.
Absolutely.
Right? That was.
So today, Casla, we launched it in October 2024, only 5 months back. And we have the source code of the two largest IT services companies from India. And their banking software products are used by hundreds of banks globally. And we have those banking softwares in escrow with Casla. Yeah.
Okay. Are there other use cases for that? Cybersecurity comes to mind.
Absolutely. So one side of the business is regulator mandated. आप escrow कर रहे हो source code because regulator ने बोला है. You have to at the end of the year, every quarter, you have to submit a report to the regulator. The other is business continuity planning, disaster recovery planning, etc., and other stuff. So globally, cyber resilience is a huge business, and source code escrow comes as a part of that. So the larger corporations in this place, their revenues are upwards of $500 million to $1 billion kind of dollars. They are very, very large corporations. And we're going to compete against them. We see this as a global product from Casla.
What is the product? It's basically that I, as a I don't know, service provider of any kind, if there's a cybersecurity attack on my systems, they can lock up my software, my data, my client data, all of that. How does the escrow service help?
So let's say you will always have a few backups of your product anyways, okay, in various environments. Let's say everything gets affected, or you have a malicious actor internally within your organization, okay, unfortunately. Then what happens? That malicious actor will know all the backups that you keep. So this is a third-party service. This is away from anybody's control. Only a few people in the organization, even if an organization is a few 100,000 people kind of organization, only a few people have access and control over it. And even they cannot take charge of it because there is an escrow agreement. There is a process of how and when and who and why can access it, and on what kind of occasions and protocols. So here, Casler is the escrow agent. The main service that we provide is storage, verification, and we are the escrow agent as well. And there is an escrow agreement, and then in certain conditions, the code is pulled out from the escrow environment and then deployed.
But tell me, if there's a cybersecurity attack on the company, can't your sort of backup of it also be affected? Not together, but separately. Can't they attack your service as well?
So that means a simultaneous attack has to happen on Casler as well, yes, and Casler service as well. So cloud is very advanced today. Okay. So the way we have designed the service is that there are hardly any traces. Okay. So if company A is being attacked, how will anybody detect that there is a third-party service provider called Casler and inke paas bhi ye code hai, etc., and other stuff? Almost impossible.
There is a reason that it's very difficult for somebody to do something like that to us, because when you do software escrow, there are certain certifications that you need to have in place. So there is ISO certification that needs to have there. Then there's a cert, there's SOC2, and then international markets have different other certifications. So all those certifications put together make sure that system is robust in a certain way where these threats are minimized to a larger extent, while the organization which is already doing all of this may be or may not be. So this is our bread and butter. So of course we'll be smarter about it and ensure that this is not.
So India is asking only for ISO 27001, and some organizations who are larger and more advanced and they have more knowledge and they deal with global service providers, they're asking for SOC 2. But in Europe, you have to be certified for GDPR. You have to be, and a new licensing regime has come in 2024, which is called DARPA. So in Europe, you have to be DARPA compliant as well. So this is to ensure that your source code service provider is foolproof, that they cannot be penetrated. North America has its own. Yeah.
Explain SOC 2.
So I'm not a technical guy, but I don't know. I'm lost for words here.
So SOC 2 is nothing. So it's kind of a so it's a security order compliance basically. So that's where it helps. So it's a next level of ISO certification, right? To ensure that you minimize all these malicious and ransomware attacks into the system.
So now, so I understand Castler provides sort of financial transaction escrow and now source code escrow. Anything else?
All our customers, including Castler itself, are big users of agreements and contracts, right? So there are lots of, you can say, billion dollar, multi-billion dollar contract lifecycle companies. But we don't see too much of a problem in contract lifecycle management. We built our own in-house suite as well. We see problems in contract and agreement reading. Because in escrow, somebody has to read the agreement. Okay. So Hansi is buying a condo from Vineeth, and there is an escrow agreement, and there are terms and conditions. Every time a payment has to be made, someone, the escrow agent, has to read the agreement and decide that, okay, milestone has been met, target has been met, should I release the payment or not? Okay. So we are building a new product called Castler Docs. It's a AI-powered agreement reading product. Okay. So it is being tested by a few banks and a few trustees, a few escrow agents in India right now. Hopefully, we'll launch it maybe Q2 of this year. So we are building a simple agreement reader. Once we have, which will for internal consumption and consumption of our customers. Castler Money Escrow and the source code escrow, we deal with the entire BFSI universe. The BFSI universe, maybe in a year, does around 10 million agreements and contracts. So every lending happens through an agreement, right? So we feel that what we are building will be very, very useful, not only for them, but for their customers as well. Okay, like if you are taking a home loan, you feed your home loan agreement into this product and you ask that, what are my liabilities as the loan taker? If things go south, it will clearly tell you what are your liabilities, or what are my liabilities for this home loan. If the condo does not get delivered to me, what do I have to do? It will tell you. Otherwise, you have to read the 200 page agreement to tell you, or maybe you need a specialist to find it out. Let me give you even more simple example. Rainmatter is an investor. Maybe they have invested in 100 startups. They want to find out their shareholder rights in Castler. We are a portfolio company. So they will tell it to somebody, or somebody in the team will themselves open the 150-page shareholder agreement, read that agreement, and maybe in a few hours or a few days, somebody will send an email and say, hey, look, these are our rights. Here, you simply need to ask the question, what are my rights? The LLM has your agreement. You ask the Copilot, what are my rights? And it will tell you in a jiffy. That way. So we're building, as per the use case and the need of our customer set, we are building an agreement reader. And then phase 2 of this product, which will happen next financial year, is an agreement builder. So we want to automate the entire process of complex escrow agreements or bipartite, tripartite kind of agreements, which happen for the major businesses who are our users. Let's say for lending, okay, for franchisee, security deposit transactions, sale purchase transactions. So we want to standardize through our AI product.
So you're standardizing the agreements, but then reading the querying the
we are building a query product.
So it's
it's a copilot.
The process.
So we're building a copilot. Yeah. So very simple and easy, but yeah, you have to have the agreements. So we have access to the agreements. That's why we can only build it.
What happened to the original goal of eliminating fraud?
वो अभी भी है. Okay. It is there at the back of my mind. I think every day I get up or sleep thinking about it. कि Vineet उसका क्या हुआ? Okay.
So will you go B2C?
And we are thinking about it. We've done a couple of meetings with the regulator as well, where gently we have touched upon that we want to launch a B2C service of our own. And what does it entail? What is holding us back is that if we have to take the PAPG license, which every payment player has in India, then we are at a serious disadvantageous position. Why do I say so? Because escrow is maybe not even 1% of the total payments market in India. And if I have to take the same license, I have to comply to the same guidelines, if I have to do the same audits every year, etc., and the cost of maintaining the license and the cost of compliance is the same that is for me or that is for a PhonePe or a Paytm, then how will we sustain it? Okay, they are going after trillions of dollars of market size. We are going after 0.1% or a 1% of that market. So there has to be, I think, other baby licenses or a family of licenses, like it has happened in other economies across the world, where people have gone and just taken the escrow license, not the entire payment aggregator or payment gateway license as such. So we are waiting, we are evangelizing, and we will see if once we become a bigger balance sheet and can afford the cost of compliance, maybe we'll take the mother license, the only license that is available in India.
Just to clarify, of 100 payments, only 0.1% requires escrow?
Because it is a good to have. There is no regulatory backing. Okay, there is no regulatory mandate. That
I thought we did discuss that. All the financial transactions require escrow, no?
No. For that, we have already built. Those transactions
I
happen
understood
directly
that.
bank to bank. Not they involve businesses. They don't involve consumers.
So of consumer transactions, what percentage of them require escrow?
I don't know, maybe a few million transactions every day on the e-commerce long tail that happens every day.
0.01%?
Maybe 1%. I don't know. It's a guesstimate. Nobody's done market sizing on this in India.
And ultimately, so even if we are working with enterprises like the marketplaces or lending, etc., ultimately, who is the end beneficiary? So it is not that goal is still not fulfilled. So goal is still, but the way we have envisaged it from day one, we have to move in that direction. It will take some doing again to reach to that, but I think through our enterprises, we have created that kind of trust layer within the ecosystem for sure.
Let's talk company and investors. You started what in 2021?
Early 2020, I visualized it and raised my first round in around early 2021. We started commercial operations in April 2021. So we are just completing our fourth year, I guess. And so we are, you can say, decent small startup, okay, and revenue centric, slightly old operators, so manage our balance sheet reasonably well. So runway वगैरह का कोई problem नहीं है, okay. So
Where is the revenue at?
so we are closing this year at around 2 million, around 16 crores in revenues. Burn is in control. We have a runway of around 10 years, okay. So but it's a small balance sheet, right? So we intend to grow at around 125% next year. So 35-40 crores in revenues next year. That's the number that we're looking at.
This is before the regulation gave you a tailwind.
Yeah. So the code escrow regulation is at early stages. It needs, I think, another 2 financial years to fully bloom into a you can say tangible business opportunity. Like when we started the money escrow business, our ACV annual contract value per customer was around 25,000 rupees. Today it is around 15 lakh rupees. So that's the journey we have traversed. In our code escrow business, the ACV as of now is a lakh rupees per code deposit. So we have to go through that cycle where I acquire a bank as a customer, and if that bank has 100 applications, maybe in a 2-3 year time frame, I will get all the 100 applications from the bank. So taking one takes around a 4 to 6 month kind of a cycle. सब कुछ बेचना पड़ता है इंडिया में in a hard way, right? Okay, and then it is about you have to keep on fighting and fighting the war to get share of wallet. So I think in another 3 years, so I think we are on track. Castler Money is on track to become a 500 CR kind of a company over the next 5 years in terms of revenues. And we are a high gross margin business. So we are a 80-85% gross margin business. So we are not a business which will do 1,000 crore revenue and only 20% gross margin. So we will be highly revenue accretive. Maybe in another 5 years, the code business should be around, I don't know, maybe 150-200 crore kind of a business. We want to go global with it as well. We are early movers from a product stack standpoint. Okay. Dogs, we will have to see. Dogs, we will have to see. I see it as internal consumption and a cross-sell product to my audience right now. The size of our balance sheet and the money that we have, resources that we have, does not allow me to be over ambitious on this product, though AI is very, very overhyped. So we have to be realistic about what we can sell and what we can earn. So I think, yeah, Castler is on its way to becoming a decently profitable, mid-sized fintech player over the next 4 or 5 years.
Why did you raise the money? If you have 10 years runway, that seems like you're not growing fast enough.
So it is not that we are not growing fast enough, or we don't want to grow fast enough. The market will allow us to grow at only a certain rate. So today, our new escrow account acquisition rate is around 100 new accounts a month. What we can open with banks is 20 new accounts a month. So we are the largest escrow bank in the country right now, okay, in terms of the amount and the value of business that we have, okay. So I think maybe the largest bank in India does not process as many escrow queries that Castler currently processes. So as Amit said, he hinted on it, we are dependent on banks and the bank's appetite for opening so many escrow accounts. So escrow account bik raha hai. We have been lucky. When I started it 4 years ago, people used to say, "Kaun lega? Nobody will give you business. This is a core banking product, etc." But I think thanks to the regulatory tailwinds and what has happened in the Indian fintech ecosystem, we are getting escrow requirements from Jabalpur and Kanpur and Lucknow and Nasik and so on and so forth as well. So yeah, I think this market is just about scratching the surface and about to open up in a big manner. But we are dependent on banks.
You hinted at global sort of expansion. Is your product on par with global sort of competitors? Who are the global players? You mentioned them at the very beginning.
So in the code escrow business, Escrow Tech in US is a, I think, 30, 40-year-old player. They have storage facilities in mountains in North America. Then NCC Software is a UK-based player. They just bought the number 2 company in North America called Iron Mountain. Their software escrow assets for $220 million in cash. So maybe they have become the largest operator in the world. So they are the 2 biggest operators. And I think, yes, maybe we have a better product than them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
We may not have a more mature product than them because they have the customers. And because they have the customers, they will have each and every nuance and requirement in their internal CRM of how to service a particular demand or ask from a customer. But at a core product level, I think nobody in the world today has, there's something called L2 verification. So the L2 verification globally costs at around $5,000 to $20,000. And it takes around maybe 2 weeks, okay, 10 days to 15 working days.
What does that mean, L2 verification?
L2 verification tells you about the veracity of the code, whether the documentation that you've got in terms of files and folders, whether that is correct or not, whether the code is deployable or not. Okay. We have automated this. We do it on the fly. There is without any manual intervention.
Okay, so now if you're capacity constrained in India because of the banks not being able to open accounts, are you actually vying for the global market? Which markets? And how would you do the sort of sales?
That's a great question. Maybe we'll have to raise little bit more money from Rainmatter for that. So yeah. So as I said, product is good, ready to go live. We have to get certified for DARPA, GDPR to launch in Europe. We have to get certified for similar regulations and certifications to go live in North America, Canada, etc. So we are targeting the English-speaking markets right now. So Canada, North America, UK, and Australia. These are the markets in the West that we are looking at in Asia-Pac. And we are looking at the Gulf market right now.
So you mentioned those global providers sort of have the hard drive in those mountains and stuff. I didn't quite understand. When you say you have a better product, are you sort of matching that, or how are you a better product?
In India, we offer physical storage vaults as well. But in overseas markets, we intend to be a pure play cloud service provider. Okay. So we will create escrow environments in the relevant cloud service providers only. Let's say AWS, GCP, Azure, etc., and other stuff. So we are riding on the transitioning of this business from physical storage to cloud storage. That's what we are doing. And why I say that everybody ultimately will have to transition is because in physical storage, how often can you update the hard disk? Okay. So the best efficiency that we have seen is once a quarter, the software or the source code is updated. Here, the source code can be updated in real time. That's the beauty of cloud.
And is there any capacity constraint from the cloud provider?
No, absolutely not. It's a business for them. You pay whatever and you get whatever you want.
No, but are they growing sort of fast enough in India, or there's no constraint?
No constraint at all.
Like in the data sort of banks being data
They're supporting us. big
data
time.
centers being built and all that.
In fact, they're supporting
And
us
this
big
product
time.
we have built through grants from the leading cloud service providers only. Yeah, so they like our innovation and they have only funded the
Okay, why
product
grants? Why did
innovation.
you have to go to grants?
We are a small setup. We want to be efficient in spending our monies. We got this idea. We first pitched it to AWS and they liked it. Then Google, they liked it, and they gave us money
Okay,
to
so
build
how
it
much
for
money have you
them.
raised in total now?
So we've raised around 7 million.
7 million, and your revenue is now at 2 million.
2 million, yeah.
Okay, you have a lot more room to grow in terms of revenue.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Where do you expect to get?
How far this 7 million will get us? So, okay, if we don't raise any money and and we have to survive on the 7 million only, I think we should easily become a 300 crore company with maybe 100 crore kind of a profit with this money only.
That's your target in the next how many years?
300 crores maybe in 3 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are aiming for 35, 40 odd crores next year.
Yeah.
And then
100, 125 crores a
150
year
by
after that.
and then 200 odd crores, and then 500 crores.
2028, maybe 250, 300
Okay.
crores.
What's the TAM of your segment?
Escrow banking, the TAM is around, I think, 5,000 crores in the addressable revenue opportunity. Otherwise, TAM is hundreds of billions of dollars. Okay. So we'll not talk about that. But the money for the escrow business, which banks make, legal firms make, trustees make, now we get a reasonable share of that. That is around 5,000 crores. So we are saying that over the next 5 years, we will get 10% of that, which is 500 crores.
That's the number today, or that is a number you expect in 5 years' time?
So the market will be maybe slightly bigger. Bankers say that escrow is growing at maybe a 10% CAGR. So maybe in 7-8 years, the market will double in size. Okay. But pessimistically, even if it remains what the today's number is at 4,000-5,000 crores, the market is large enough for you to create a decently profitable business.
This is all B2B. If there is any scope to go B2C
Yes.
with the constraints that you're mentioning,
Yeah.
then what do you expect the TAM to be?
It will not affect the TAM because B2C for the initial few years will be a loss leader. Okay, because making the Indian consumer pay, like last month we got a deal for a 20 crore transaction in Gurgaon, and my team quoted 50,000 rupees and they said no. Then I said, tell them 25,000. They said no. And then I said, offer it for 10,000 rupees. And then again, they said no. Then in my mind, I thought that these people deserve to be defrauded. Okay, for a 20 crore transaction, they are not willing to spend 10,000 rupees. Okay, so and that's why we have not launched it. So at a balance sheet level, we simply don't have enough oxygen that we launch a loss leader business. So this will be a loss leader business for initial 2, 3, 4 years.
What is the size of the fraud committed in India, of which you think X% you can prevent?
It's almost what? It's 75 to 100 crores per day.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
that's huge
so you're
amount of
talking about a
fraud.
huge amount, and of that, what proportion can be prevented by your service?
So in a certain time frame, you're asking?
I guess.
So yeah, so in a certain time frame, I think it's a little tricky question to answer.
No,
But
what I'm saying is that, okay, the frauds could be happening for multiple reasons, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Some of which you can't do anything about.
see, the frauds can be, what to answer to your question, it can only happen largely where we'll make a difference. Would be when we get into that consumer side of the business, right?
Look, if the real estate secondary market transaction business is $10 billion, okay, let's say 10-15 lakh transactions at 50 lakh average value of apartment in India, larger India. Okay, so maybe let's say 7-8 billion, $10 billion. Maybe we'll be able to control 80% of fraud. Okay.
This is a white amount because there's a huge black market which,
वहाँ पे तो
they
we
will.
will not play there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
I
that's
mean,
why I'm saying 80%.
there's no trace of the money. Where will you
Yeah,
put it?
yeah.
Huh?
So that's why I'm saying 80%. This the entire meta universe, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, 80% there as well. There are smarter, more innovative operators everywhere. AI भी आ गया है, पता नहीं उसका क्या impact होगा in money fraud. So maybe 80% there as well. Used vehicle, two-wheeler, four-wheeler market, etc. Maybe 80% there as well. These are three low-hanging fruits for Castler B2C service fraud prevention.
What about blockchain? Wasn't that a sort of a use case for blockchain that they can do the self execution of contracts?
Yeah. So yes, at a intellectual level it is okay, but where is the real business? Where is the revenue opportunity? Where do you see the impact? Do we get even one query? We do get some queries every week, but none from Indian customers. Okay, and we don't operate our financial escrow product in overseas markets as yet. Okay, so we'd love to do it. I think the bigger operators, they see a huge opportunity on the blockchain side. They see a huge opportunity for escrow. Escrow is at the core of crypto as well, right? Okay, so there's a huge opportunity there. So crypto, I don't know. I don't think it's going to come to India, but maybe CBDC will come. Will there be an opportunity for a service provider like Castler to work with CBDC? Early days yet. Let's see. Okay, they are testing it out. We don't yet know the shape and form of it, so don't know that.
Could it disrupt your business?
Maybe it can disrupt in a way that we may not have to launch the B2C product at all.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So
And it wouldn't affect your B2B business?
Right
No,
now,
no, of course
we
not.
don't see that even remotely close.
Yeah.
Right. How big is your company now?
We are around 85 people. Yeah.
And what kind of people? Like techies,
Yeah.
lawyers?
So around 60% are product and tech. 2 people in legal team. Around 30 people in business, which Amit and Dinesh, my other co-founder, leads. So Dinesh now manages the code escrow business. Amit looks after the escrow banking business. My other partner, Ritesh, he's the co-founder and CPO. So he runs product. We've just hired somebody, ex-InfoEdge and ex-Paytm, to lead engineering for us, Mohit. So he's just joined last week. Okay. So yeah, growing in size and scale.
Okay. You alluded to Zerodha or Rainmatter using it. Are they not using it?
Not as yet. Okay. Maybe
So
they,
what is it normal, like in the sales sort of process, because it's B2B enterprise sales?
Yeah.
What is the usual sort of pushback for not adopting your product?
Because it is a good to have. It's not a need to have. काम चल ही रहा है. कोई problem ही नहीं है. Why innovate for innovation's sake? Okay.
Is it that? I mean, that's like saying why do any risk management, right? Why buy insurance?
And the as far as the securities trading business in India is concerned, that anyway is extremely firewalled from fraud by the regulator anyways. Okay, so we will not have the kind of frauds that happen in Western markets. Okay, in India as such, still some happen. Okay, some of the operators get banned for a few weeks or months or years and something like that. And then they have to, whatever, go through the rigmarole of baptism again and come back as an operator. But I think the Indian regulators have been very, very smart in doing the right things, firewalling consumers' money in the right manner, especially the securities, SEBI. The current scope of the regulations, maybe there is already escrow already present. Okay. And maybe we are too young. We have to earn the right to become the service provider, the so-called escrow orchestrator for somebody of the size and scale and stature of Zerodha. Okay, so yeah, we'll have to earn it.
I would love to hear any other challenges you faced as a fintech startup founder and what you learned from that.
So there are challenges, okay, that the larger fintech players did not give a good feedback on our TAM when VCs reached out to them. Okay, that how big can escrow be? That was a little hurtful. So, but business is business. Okay, why would they want us to get funded and get into a space where maybe they would have future ambitions in that way? But yeah, there was cartelization. We took time in entering a certain bank because one of the largest payment companies in India, they went and did a deal with some trustee, with some bank. So, but these are, you can say, business things. You have to keep at it, keep on fighting, and wait for the right time. So some things happen at the right time. There are lots of obstacles. The biggest obstacle is when you come up with an innovation, everybody says no. कि ये नहीं चलेगा, ये बहुत difficult है. There is no business out here. But the reality of life and the business is that niches make money. Okay. There are a few outliers. There can be only so many Razor Pays, Phone Pays, and Paytms at the end of the day in the Indian ecosystem. Okay. If everybody wants to build a business like them, then the fail rate will be humongous in that sense. So some people build businesses like that, which are humongous and huge. Their TAM is every transaction. Okay, that is their goal and ambition. They built a business like that. Folks like us, we build a business which are concentrated on certain categories and are more money making, are more revenue accretive than the larger businesses. Yeah.
So large company, large volumes, small margin, or small volumes and higher margins.
Business is all about, at the end of the day, what comes on the table, right? So what is the profit that you are making? So if you're able to make decent profits, I think payment industry largely works on a very thin margin. So even if you see the size and scale of the payment business, even if somebody say is processing 1 lakh crore of transactions or, in terms of volume, but the margin is very thin. It's 1% or 1.5%.
You mentioned 90% gross margin. What's your net?
80%?
87%.
Okay.
80% odd. Yeah.
So therefore, your valuations would be pretty good. Where is it at?
So,
Rainmatter,
we are under discussions for a new round. Okay. So I think we will get decent valuations in the new round that we are.
What's decent? Multiples of 3, 4, 5, 20?
Yeah, 20 types
Yeah.
on revenue. Yeah.
But you said you have 10 years runway sitting there. Why are you raising another round?
So the best time to raise money to fortify your balance sheet is when you don't need money, because then you are in a more advantageous position as far as negotiation is concerned, right? And who knows, we live in fractious times, in extremely volatile political conditions, and the world is becoming more right. If tomorrow a third world war happens or something like that, anything can happen anytime. Okay, the economic situation can also
That would be brilliant for your business, right?
Yeah. So we have to stay healthy and fine, right? We have to plan for the long term. We have to plan for bad days. Yes, so my like Sanjeev Bikhchandani, who's my mentor, one of my investors as well, he says that be crystal clear that you are the biggest loser of the new fundraise, that you'll have to dilute the most. But I have to look at the economic environment, the political environment, the business environment, and we have to fortify the setup at the end of the day. The business, the setup comes first. For that, we feel that a little bit of more cash on the balance sheet will give us peace of mind. And it will add, I think, weight in terms of our capability for inorganic growth. The fintech market has been going through a baptism of fire kind of a period for the last 24, 30 months. And good opportunities will come at very, very decent prices for the right companies who have the monies. So we want to be that kind of a company who has
also
the money.
a lot to do with the growth capital that we need, right? So there is a limit because we have not raised humongous amount of money, a decent amount of money that we have raised. With that amount of money, you can do a certain kind of thing only, right? But the ambitions are that we want to go global. We might look at licenses. So it all comes for a cost, right? So when you want to expand and when you want to increase the overall size and scale in which we operate, I think that's where the growth capital is. It's more to do with the growth because what we are doing right now, it's a constant focus on the revenue bit, where the escrow banking side of the business is. But I think the other side of the business, which is the core business, that needs some huge investments, and we need to ensure that we are able to get those and ensure that we are on the right trajectory in terms of overall growth.
And look, the reality of business, Hansi, sometimes, or maybe usually, is not only about the best product and the best execution. Sometimes it is about a very, very simple thing, that who's the last man standing, right? Good things come to people who stay alive, okay, and stay healthy. So yeah, we want to, as a business, we want to stay alive and stay healthy for the longest period of time.
And sometimes it depends on who your investors are, who can also open doors for you. So that leads me to, who are your investors and how much have you diluted?
Yeah, so that's, I think, the most interesting question of our talk today. So all our investors are corporate VC funds. Okay. So I don't know what is that. Maybe we are the only company in India to have a cap table where everybody is a CVC. So our investors are InfoEdge, our investors are IFL, our investors are Zerodha. Both Rainmatter and Zerodha are on a cap table. Then our investors are Flipkart, our investors are Stride. They run a debt business. Now they have started a VC fund as well. So yeah, all our investors are. So what does that tell you? That these are conservative guys. They will not give you crazy multiples on valuation, but then they will give you patient capital. They will give you good advice. They will have the guts to tell you that grow in a manner where you can stay financially healthy. Grow at that pace only. So you don't have to overgrow. We don't want too much. Okay. So even if you grow, stay healthy and you are growing, we are happy with your performance in that sense. That's the feedback I get from all our investors in that sense. They understand that Rome was not built in a day. So they understand that our kind of business, what we are building in a way, I don't know what to call it, escrow banking or neo banking or digital banking. It's a corporate enterprise top-down business. We have to go to corporates and acquire them. It takes some time and wherewithal. We are dependent on banks for opening the account, etc. It's a hard business. You take a few weeks, few months to acquire the customer. You take a few weeks, few months to get the account live. You want to become an entrepreneur tomorrow, would you want to do this kind of a business that Castler does, जहाँ पे 3 से 6 महीने लगते हैं to acquire a customer and take it live? That is the moat in our business. A lot of people don't like it. They want more action. They want something more sexy, more fast, more addictive in that sense. So we are a boring business at the end of the day, right? So I think we have the right set of investors. And but it is a double-edged sword. वो थोड़े conservative भी हैं, valuation भी नहीं देंगे, वैसी वाली देंगे. Okay, but they give you great advice. They are great partners in good and bad times, and they give you patient capital.
Rainmatter is known for patient capital. Are all the others known for that as well?
Yeah, we are under no pressure. 3-4 साल तो हो ही गए हैं. We are under no pressure कि that to show growth and give them an exit over the next 2-3 years. They understand that time लगता है India में.
And how much do you own, the founders own? And
So we own, with our ESOP pool, we own upwards of 50% together. Okay. And look, there's a story behind our management team as well. Okay. So I got this idea. The first person I ran to was Sanjeev. And he said, very good, you will build a great business. So कर ले. तो मैंने कहा कि कुछ what about funding? So he said, no, you know most of the things about building a business, but you don't know bootstrapping. So पहले bootstrapping सीख के आ. So then I said, but it's been 10 years that I left. It's been whatever, 6-7 years that I left InfoEdge, and I've learned bootstrapping. Said no, when you earn zero for a few years, and you bet everything on a single idea. That is what bootstrapping is. So I went, raised some money, ran the business for a year. Then Zerodha, Rainmatter gave us a term sheet. I again went to Sanjeev, कि अब तो Zerodha आ रहा है, and you also invest. He said, very good, very good. You need to learn more. So he did not invest in a seed round when Rainmatter invested. So we executed again after a year, and I went to him. So he asked me that, how much of time since you last earned a single rupee? I said 44 months. So he said, now you are ready. And then they came on board in our pre-series A round. And then he asked me one more thing, that you're turning 50. In India, it takes 8, 10, 12 years to build a successful business. So who'll run the business? So where is your team? So by that time, I had Dinesh as a partner. So Dinesh is 5 years younger to me. And then I thought in that meeting only I'll get Amit. Amit is 6 years younger to Dinesh. And then we got Ritesh, who is, I think, another 8 years younger to Amit. So we have the management team now to run this business, I think, for the next 25, 30 years.
That's an interesting way to build a management team on age. Okay, and is Sanjeev happy with your progress so far?
Yeah.
Now that you've learned bootstrapping?
Yes. Very happy.
Is there anything else that you have learned along the way that you've changed your mind on?
I think fintech has taught me patience. So it is not only about my and my team's capability. In fintech, you are dependent on a lot of factors. Okay, like we are dependent on banks' speed and execution in opening accounts. Sometimes the banks are ready, but they are undergoing an audit or a scrutiny. Okay, or the regulator wants to do a scrutiny on APIs being distributed to fintech partners and technology companies. So you have to wait for that to be over, and that means a lull of a few weeks or a few months. So yeah, I've become a more patient person over the last 3-4 years. That is the biggest change in me. When we were running businesses which have nothing to do with regulation, then it is about unbridled passion, power, speed of execution, and results. Here, you have to marry your own capabilities with what is happening in the ecosystem.
Anything you've changed your mind on? Not just evolved, but change your mind, did a about turn?
I think largely in terms of execution, right? So at a certain age that we used to execute, and the way we see right now, it has to be construed in a way which is more effective and more impactful, rather than just getting speed, right? So speed to what degree, to what extent? So that level of maturity has definitely, deep rooted in us. That has helped us, lead the cause more effectively.
Another thing if I can add is learning the power of saying no. So since we are slightly, you can say, young fintech players, we've learned from the mistakes of others, and we say no to the best opportunities of making money, because we have seen that if you slip on the banana skins, okay, then you lose credibility, and ultimately you have to shut down your business. So you have to have conviction and power and the guts to say no to bad business. So that also we have learned, and it hurts us, okay, but consistently over the last 4 years, and at the youngest team member level, we have taught them and given them the empowerment to say no to bad business.
Anything else?
I think we have covered almost
That was a
everything.
very fascinating discussion. Started off with eliminating fraud from India. I think we have a long way to go there, but thank you so much for at least making a start. I feel very good that I at least had the option of going and reaching out to you if I ever need an escrow account. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much. Thank you for another episode of From Scratch. I am Hansi. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.